Good evening, everybody. Sammy Thunder here. Welcome back to the chat. About 2 years ago, I made a video that really seemed to connect with a lot of you, where I showcased what my collection looked like at that time. Back then, I was focused on first-year cards of Hall of Famers. I had my favorites, but the real goal was to get as close as possible to a debut card for as many legends as I could. That came right as I was transitioning out of set collecting and moving more into singles. So my collection was in a bit of a blend between both worlds. Fast forward 2 years, and my approach has shifted quite a bit. I've moved away from first year cards and into player collecting. Similar to what guys like B. Roth 6 and Matt from the Card Story do, player collecting has given me more of a focus and discipline in the hobby. With so many cards out there, this has helped me really narrow down what I want to chase. So tonight, I'll show you where my collection stands today, and I'll share what I'm aiming for as I continue this journey. Let's dive in. So I've kept everything, I stacked everything here on the table into organized stacks. This is really kind of what the bulk of my collection has really translated to over the span of the last 2 years. If you kind of go back and forth between both videos, you just see a dramatic change. And there are some overlaps, which is great because there's some cards that I've kept around, but you can see here, this is kind of like a basketball stack right here. This is a miscellaneous with Nolan Ryan, since it's my only Nolan Ryan card I have left. Here's my Tom Seaver stack, and the majority of the collection is made up of the Willie Mays as well as the Christy Mathewson stack. We'll start with the basketball stack since this is one of the overlap cards I was talking about. It's my 1981-82 Larry Bird. I got this for 25 cents. This is what got me back in the hobby. And it graded an 8, which I was very excited about. Another early card when I got back into the hobby was this Bill Russell 61 Fleer, and the centering on it, which is, you know how difficult these are to find centered. And, you know, if you can, I know where the issue is on this card, but what's great is that my phone is really not capturing it too well, which is a good thing. Kind of shows that whole eye appeal madness that we're all crazed about. There's a little crease that goes across the center, and it's very faint. This was a gift from Steven with a PH. It's a really awesome looking sticker, I believe. Spanish sticker. Super as a canasta. Canasta? I think it's canasta. Here's a John Havlicek, his first year card. Or not his first year, but first card, because it wasn't his rookie year, but it was his first card. 6970 Topps. Classic set. And this was a card I picked up through trade plus cash kicker that at a card show at the Brooklyn show was this wall. Now going to miscellaneous. Got the Nolan Ryan Transigram, probably my prized Nolan Ryan card. And it's the same image that's used in his 69 Topps card, which is also a great classic card of him as well. And the back obviously is just the cardboard stock. But you guys know how I feel about the Transigrams. I have a very strong connection with them. This is a project I'm working on currently right now, getting all of the portraits of the New York Giants T206, and this was the Bull Durham. I got this at, what was it, one of the White Plains shows, and there's a dealer who had a couple of T206s, but really just had this for a great deal, and I jumped all over it when I saw it. The back, I mean, just beautifully centered front and back. As you guys know, I've talked about this card recently. This was one of my national pickups, another outlier, but I have always kind of remained connected with Louis Tiant Jr. primarily. But to get a card of his father is pretty special. So you can see the Caramello Deportivo is a little faded on the back, but if you guys, what's really cool is Louis Tiant Sr. played for the New York Cubans at one point, and was in my neighborhood. Essentially played in where the neighborhood I live in now. So that's pretty special. And he's one of the star pitchers of that team. The pre-war pusher, Aaron from Value Vintage, inspired me to pick up a Carl Hubble, and I thought this was a great example of a Carl Hubble card. And I picked this up through George Diamond Yard, also at the National. So pretty cool. So what we have now is the T206 Fred Merkle. Picked this also up, I think, at one of the White Plains shows, and really, as part of the project I was telling you guys about with the Bull Durham. So this was another pickup that I made. I think I picked this up from Ethan, who is one of the dealers. He travels around he sets up at the National, sets up at, I don't know if he set up at Strongsville. I think he was walking around, but had this available, and I picked this up off of him. And the last of currently of that project is the Red Ames of the T206 portrait. Nice looking centered card of him in a 2. Perfectly happy with that. So that rounds out the miscellaneous. This one was always a difficult one to find for me. The 69 Top Super Tom Seaver classic. The shot of him is used widely in various sets, but I bought this raw off eBay, graded it, and came back a 7. This was a gift from Tony, Southern Collector, very generous to give this to me. 1973 Topps Candy Lids, Tom Seaver. The candy lids they're just cool looking oddities, I guess you could say, and the baseball stars in the back. And I think, yeah, Seaver, and I think it's Yastrzemski on the back, so pretty cool. Of course, Transigram. I don't need to go much into this, but picked this up at a White Plains show. Pretty sweet. O-Pee-Chee, 1977 O-Pee-Chee, Tom Seaver. Picked this up at Garfield not too long ago. Here is the Venezuelan League stickers. This was found at Trade Night. This is the pretty damn cool card of him, man. These league cards, I know some people don't like to call them stickers. I'm going to call it a card, so I'm going to call it a card. And the back is, nothing on the back, but pretty damn special, man. Gotta love the Venezuelan stuff. 69 Ben from Blix cards. Gifted this. 1969 Globe Imports. Tom Seaver, 8 of Diamonds. That's a pretty sweet card. This was found at the National in 2024 in Cleveland. Picked this up. I was with Mookie and his buddy Pete, and for the price, I was like, I cannot pass this up. You don't see these too often. They're cool. It's an Nabisco Team Flake 69 special. Really special is another Venezuelan specialty, 1972 Venezuelan stamps. Very, very difficult to find these in a very just incredibly low pop count, but regardless, this makes for a very special Seaver card, and a good long story that goes into this, but I'll spare you all the details right now in favor of showing everything else. But very special card. I was up till 12 or almost 1 o'clock in the morning negotiating on the price of this, with Mookie assisting me in the process. So thank you, Mook. Most recent Seaver pickup is the O-Pee-Chee 68. I picked this up at the East Coast National this year, and what a beauty this one is. Finding them centered left to right or top to bottom, finding both top to bottom and left to right together centered is just a needle in a haystack. And so picking this up for the price I got it for, I'm super pleased. You guys knew my plight in trying to acquire this one, but I finally got it. The 68 Bazooka of Tom Seaver. Love these little stick of gum cards. And it is Bazooka, so it is gum. 1970 Milton Bradley in a 6.5. Absolute beauty of a card. Love the Milton Bradleys, not from 1970. I feel like I'm with Mookie. A lot of times I'm buying cards, and this was another one where I bought this off of my buddy, Brian Fish. Brian Fish had this, and like I was discussing before, left to right, top to bottom. I mean, these cards, the Venezuelans, just incredibly challenging. Oh, man, I almost dropped it. On the back, great condition, no paper loss whatsoever. So it's for me, this is a kind of a high grade copy of a Venezuelan card. And finally, to round out the Seavers, of course, I could not resist but show the 67 Mets postcard, Tom Seaver, his rookie season, and a classic shot of him in mid-motion, which is like in the warm-up stage right now, obviously, as he's kind of off to the side of the field. And you can see that nice Rheingold beer endorsement on the back. And this came at Strongsville this past year in a trade. I got this, and I traded a Wilt Chamberlain ruler. And I got this as in a cash kicker, 1972 Pro Stars Promotions of Tom Seaver, Canadian edition indeed. And nothing on the back, but they are special cards. Again, you don't see these too often, and obviously they didn't have the licensing to give you the Mets logo or the New York baseball. Most recent pickup at the National from from Phil Gary. Phil Gary had this. I was thinking about buying this in Strongsville. I didn't buy it there, but I still had it at the National. And 1964 Topps photo tattoos of Willie Mays. Just a really fun item. This was part of that. Tony from Southern Collector also kind of shared this. The Willie Mays in a 5 and the Seaver in a 5. Super generous. Super generous to Tony. And it doesn't stop there. Another Brian Fish pickup. This one came at the Hudson Valley Renegades card show that Mike Bogcar was running, and Brian Fish happened to be there, and this was there, and I picked it up. It's got some paper loss on the back, but the front looks pretty damn good. My Philly show special, the slab did get cracked eventually, which I'd have to resubmit this again, but for now, the card is in fine shape, so no issues there. This was the Philly show special. At one point when I went, this was the last stint effort, and I got this card out of a fanny pack. So that was pretty special. Here's the back. This is the test issue, and this is a incredibly difficult card. You could find them here and there in auctions. I think there might be one on eBay right now, but special card, really special. This was an eBay purchase. Just got into a conversation with Mangini today about these bazookas, but his argument was talking about the fact that like these bazookas, like if they don't have the dotted lines or the edges, they really shouldn't be getting a number grade. They should be identified as authentic. And his argument was that really all cards should be authentic. But in the scheme of it all, because this has a dotted line, this was graded a 6, and it looks like a very strong 6. And I picked this up off of eBay. I don't know, maybe a couple months before Strongsville this year. This one is a Mike Petty purchase at Strongsville. The top of this is in the bazooka box. This was one of the lids, I believe, or one of the tops, and awesome. He's not in the bazooka set from '68, but he's at least recommended as a tips from the Tops, and a pretty cool item piece. You don't see these too often. The '68 American Oil Willie Mays, the right side. There is a full panel that comes with. There's a fuller card in this, but this is just one of the pieces that was taken off. But obviously, Willie Mays is for me the important piece of this. So really cool looking card. Couldn't get should always need a transagram Mays as well. It comes in 2 different years, 69 and 70. So I got the 69 card. Another Phil Gary purchase was the Metal Gold. This was the big purchase, or one of the 2 big purchases for me at Strongsville. It was the Metal Gold Dairy Willie Mays. And again, these are panels. These are off the box of a milk carton, and difficult to find individually. This set has Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Bill Mazeroski, and Sandy Koufax. This was from one of the Long Island shows, the Top Super Willie Mays, like I showed you before, the 69 of Seaver. This was the Mays from that same year in an 8. Stan Locke purchase at one of the White Plains shows was the 1952 Burke Ross. Beautiful card. Beautiful. Strongsville 2024, Bazooka Willie Mays. I quickly was trying to find the Stahlmeyer, couldn't find the Stahlmeyer, quickly pivoted to this, and what a beauty it is. Still has some of the dotted lines across, which is always nice, so they bought it as a 4. This came from William Chappell. Another Phil Gary pickup at Strongsville 2025, the Topps Action as Stickers, Willie Mays. Really just a beautiful piece. Again, something you don't see too often. I think Phil has another one that's available for any Mays collectors that would like one. This came from a multi-purchase pickup, private sale. This was raw when I bought it, and I graded it. Came back a 5. The San Francisco Call Bulletin Willie Mays. If you guys have seen before, I've had the Orlando Cepeda, and I eventually sold that off to Dom from Statement Sports Cards. And at some point, I was able to get the Willie Mays. Came back a 5. Of course, one of my most prized possessions in the Mays collection, that is the Stahlmeyer Frank's Willie Mays. I got this right before the National in 2024. Beautiful, beautiful piece. And the back, front and back. Got this from Andy Geller on Facebook, thanks to my buddy Brian from B-Roth. One of the Philly shows, I bought this 52 Redman Tobacco. Beautiful, beautiful card. Of course, it's, you always want to try to find them with the tab. This fun fact about the Redman Tobacco, it is the first tobacco issued card since, I would say, the 20s. So for many, many years, it was gum, it was dairy, it was ice cream, it was everything kid related. But Redman Tobacco came back into the picture, and Redman Tobacco was actually owned by the Pinkerton family. So a nice little fun fact there. Big piece I picked up this year, the Home Run Derby Willie Mays, and it has the stamp of Smider's Motor Sales, Studebakers, Packards. The Home Run Derby cards were distributed by the American Motor Company, so it was not a surprise that you would find these cards with stamps on the back. So if you do find them with stamps of car dealerships or mechanics or whatever, it's a good sign. 1971, Topps Finest Moment, the Greatest Moments. Thanks to Petty for seeing this in Chappell's case. Picked it up at Strongsville this past year. Awesome. Like I said before, Tony from Southern Collector was part of a multi-gift package they sent me, and this was one of them, the Sertoma Stars puzzle packs. And you have Willie Mays, and it's just an awesome, awesome looking card from the 70s. I know there's other players involved as well, and so again, Tony, thank you so much for your generosity, man. This is a really cool piece. This came from Facebook, from a seller that I bought from repeatedly. 1953-55 Howard photo. It's a 7-Up endorsed advertisement of him. Here he is on the front, early photo of him, and then on the back you have current compliments of the 7-Up Bottling Company of Minneapolis. I did a video that kind of like really zoomed in and enhanced the image of this to kind of get an idea of what it was saying. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to do so. Here's the New York Journal American Willie Mays counterpart from that New York Journal American, except this one came first in '54. So a lot of newspapers were doing these raffles, and you could save this card and get lots of money. Here's the schedule in the back. Another prized possession, guys. You guys know I love the Coca-Cola Playing Tips test card. So this has not left my collection. I don't know if I had this in my collection 2 years ago. No, I didn't. I didn't have this because I got this last year right before the National. And I was so psyched. I'm still psyched about having this. The Coca-Cola card, the test issue featured both Mays and Rizzuto. You guys know I love the Hires Root Beer. I was able to acquire this. I sold my Mays without a tab, and to kind of offset the cost, but to get one with the tab is truly, truly special. Let me see if I can move these gracefully and not damage anything. My most recent pickup was the McGregor 1960 Mays. You guys can see that. This was also a Mike Petty pickup. So the back is blank. McGregor was... I think they still make stuff. I don't know if they still make stuff or not, but McGregor was an equipment company. They make sports equipment, and they had various players kind of become baseball advisors and baseball advisory staff of champions. And this is one of Mays from 1960. And then lastly, one of a recent pickup at the Philly show is the 1954 All-Star Photo Pack, a very underrated set in my opinion. Got this from Chappell as well. This features Ernie Banks, his first season, as well as Al Kaline. I think, I don't know, I want to say Hank Aaron's in the set as well, but I'm not 100%. But those two guys definitely are, and it's a set that's filled with stars like Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays. So first is the T206 portrait of Christy Mathewson. B. Roth told me at a party that he was hosting that he had two coming back because he picked these up at a Philly show when he was set up, and one came back a 3, I think, and the other one came back a 2.5. I actually like the 2.5 more than the 3. I thought the centering was a little bit better, but it's a beautiful looking card. I traded up for it, which I rarely do because I don't generally trade up, but I traded up this think it was a PSA or SGC, I can't remember. It was a PSA, I think it was a PSA 1 Mathewson with some cash kicker, and I got this. This was an East Coast National pickup, 2024. Picked this up from Ash. Mangini was present for that. John was saying that he would have picked it up, but of course I jumped in first. 1909 to 1911 American Caramel Company. Great looking shot of him. Love the sunset. Love the sky. Love the pose that he's in motion. And you can see the back. Baseball caramels. One of the Venezuelan cards I have is the Retorado Mathewson, Christy Mathewson 2. Tough to get these higher than a 1, actually, just because of so much paper loss, but this one does not have any at all. This came from Henry Reynolds, who I've purchased from repeatedly. You guys remember I showed you that Louis Tiant earlier, so that I bought from him at the National. This one was bought online through him. This is a special one. This one is a Cuban edition, 1946-47 Propaganda Montiel of Christy Mathewson. These are paper, like if you want to talk about thin, like really thin stock, it's hard to really kind of show it in the way that the light is hitting it, but it is super, super thin. So to find these without major damage is a real highlight. Obviously it looks like this, I don't know if that's like burn marks or mold or what, but the image on this looks great. I got this from a Discord group. I was super, super psyched. I picked this up because you just don't see these that often. Most recent Mathewson pickup, or one of the most recent ones, is the E98. This one is definitely the most expensive of the Mathewsons that I have in my collection. 1.5, picked this up from Tony E-Trade. It has a nice fun stamp on the back to dictate someone who owned this at that point in time. New Year's Day, 1914, pretty special. Another big Mathewson is the Crackerjack in a 1. I got this through a lead on Instagram that was connected to Net54. Thank you, Ben. Ben knows who he is. He helped me link up to a seller that was selling this, and I was all over this card. All over it. I knew I wanted one for quite some time, and honest corners, as Petty would call it. Strongsville this past year. This came after a trifecta of sales between myself, Orlando, and Greg of Midlife Sports Cards through Stan's Table. I know Orlando was buying his Ty Cobb from Stan. Then I bought this Mathewson from Stan, and then Greg bought his Mathewson portrait from Stan. I swear to God, in a span of like 10, 20 minutes. And it was a buy-a-thon. It really was. You had to have been there for that. It was crazy. Mike Bokar, through his buddy Sunshine, he was consigning this for Sunshine, and I picked it up from him for a great deal. And I thought this looked great because you just rarely find these in pristine shape without really any major chipping, because anytime you get like a different colored border, whether it being like the 71 tops or in this case the T205, they can be really touchy. They can be really tough to find without chipping, without it showing, and this was a great example. I swear we're getting near the end, guys. Thanks so much for hanging on. The 1911 T201 Mecca cigarettes, Christy Mathewson. I thought this also came from Mike Bokar and Sunshine. Bought this off of him, and for a 3, I thought this looked magnificent. I love these. I love these. I guess you call them strip cards, or just the oversized cards of Mathewson here, and then on the back it's Bridwell. So they folded it up. They gave Mathewson the highlight. It's a shame because I think in this set Ty Cobb doesn't get the focus on his card, but really cool card, really cool pickup. Big pickup from the Cleveland National a couple years ago. Pinkerton. I talked a little bit about the Pinkertons earlier. This is the scorecard back. I've talked a lot about this set. I've actually done videos about this set, and a scorecard to me is the most desirable. I think a lot of collectors who are big into Pinkertons are also in favor of the scorecard backs. Connie Mack All-Stars. I love perforated stuff, die cuts, and so forth. And so this was available at one of the Philly shows through, I'm trying to remember his name, Richard Budnick of America's Pastime. He has a store out in New Jersey, but I bought this from him at the Philly show. It was there. Yeah, obviously it's authentic because it's been altered, but I don't care about that with tape or anything as long as the perforation is not pushed through. And you can see that this is pretty good for that. Moving on now, I got this, my only auction win ever. I rarely go after the auctions, and I really should do it a lot more. But this is the 1912 Unger Baking Company postcard. The Giants must have been either on the road, I don't know exactly when, but it might have been for spring training. They could have been going to Texas, where they trained for a number of years, and they were going through Alabama. And you can see they're all wearing some goofy looking hats to kind of represent and to wear in honor of the Unger Baking Company. And it says here on the bottom, the New York Giants and Unger's baby head, macaroni, spaghetti, and noodles, 2 national leaders. And Mathewson is represented, McGraw is represented, and fun fact, the team trainer is also represented as well, who became a longtime friend of John McGraw. Recent pickup was the Max Stein postcards of Christy Mathewson. It was tough to really decide which one to buy because there was also the sepia Mathewson that was available. But I ended up going with this one. I really like the juxtaposition of him in the forefront and the crowd in the background. I'm guessing here, it looks like he's kind of like warming up a little bit, but Max Stein caught a fantastic photo, and on the back, I love the details that go into the postcard. This side is exclusively for the addresses if you didn't know, but really cool. And you couldn't get the Pinkerton, couldn't just get the scorecard back. You have to get the blank back as well. I bought this from Garrett, Ballpark Memories, who said he found one, and I was all over this. So I got this through him as well. And then the last 3 pieces, this is an Orlando pickup. I traded my Sandy Koufax rookie plus some cash kicker to get this Leaf Premiums of Christy Mathewson. Orlando has this in a 5, and he had an extra one in a 3, so I picked this up off of him. And I remember doing that on the first 4 collectors trade night. That was really special, and it still serves as a very special trade for. And I'm just glad to have something that Orlando had in his collection. It's cool to have a piece of and from somebody's collection that you admire and respect. So thank you so much, Orlando. I'm going to see if I can find room for the rest of these here. This was a Dan McKee pickup on eBay, like a very unique 1913 schedule that was endorsed by Durham Duplex Razors. This is Will He Make Good This Year? And on the back is the schedule. Now, fun fact, I read the biography with Mathewson, and it did mention that he did do an endorsement with the Razor Company. In the book, it didn't specify which one, but I'd imagine it was this one, and he was paid $250, which at that point was a lot of money. And to finalize it is the S81 Silks of Christy Mathewson. There's a lot of great players in this set, but I love this Mathewson piece, classic pose that we've seen in the T206 set with the white cap. There is some staining on it, but overall, just again, a fun piece to have in your collection. Kind of really fits the slab super nicely, but yeah, the piece itself, just phenomenal. Okay, so that about rounds it up. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with me, seeing what my collection has looked like so far, or seeing what my collection has evolved to. And it's quite a journey. And to talk a little bit about what's going forward, the player collecting aspect of things with Seaver, Mays, and Mathewson will not stop. I believe that will continue. But because of the amount of really weird and unique stuff I've picked up over the years, it's losing a little bit of steam, but still at the forefront of my mind. I will say recently I started thinking about doing some sort of project that included players from the 1935 and 36 New York Cubans, and I've been doing a little bit of research on that just because they played in my neighborhood during a time which has now been converted to a train yard. But we'll see. I'm going to kind of look into that a little bit maybe and have some fun with that as well. But maybe I'll see you guys for this, what my collection looks like. We'll do another one in 2 years. So I'll set a timer and I'll see you back in 2 years for that. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you soon. Take care.